Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson. Let me ask you guys a question. Who are you cheering for? Now, hold on. Let me stop you. I did not say who are you predicting. I asked who are you cheering for, which could be a very different answer. Take a moment to think about it. And most of you are going to say, I like both guys. Okay, well, if you like both guys, then you're cheering for Tony. And the reason I submit that for you is I don't know that Chandler can lose anything. Chandler competes very well. All of Chandler's fights are fun and celebrated. I have to remind myself that Chandler lost to Gaethje because it didn't feel like it. It was the greatest fight of the night at the Mecca. It went on to win Fight of the Year, of which it should. It's one of the great fights ever. I forget that he lost. Chandler's last loss before that is in a world title fight that he was 1 second away from winning. Remember that fight with Oliveira? Chandler's swarming him, the ref, for 1 more second, the ref would have broken. Oliveira comes back. I'm just saying it's hard. Chandler does such a good job, but he's so competitive, you can never dismiss him. His career is not even on the brink of coming to an end. Whereas Tony had 3 very devastating matches. They were very devastating. The kind of match that Tony had with Gaethje is the kind of match that takes time off of your career. That's just a reality. It's a very tough business. Tony didn't give himself much of a break. Tony follows the most basic rule of you get bucked off the horse, you get right back on it. So Tony jumps in there. He's in there with Oliveira. He's in there with Benny. If you go look at it on paper, that's not all that big of a deal. He got some great experiences with absolute top guys. Got a 50% chance of winning. Okay, the other guy got the gold medal tonight. It's not that big of a deal. But if you went and watched the fights a little closer, it didn't look like the same Tony. I can't say anything more than that. I couldn't put my finger just specifically on it. If I was forced to point out something from a physical standpoint that happened, it was that Tony gave up top position more in his last 2 fights than he ever has in his career. That would be one thing that's true. Oliveira surprised all of us, Tony included, with his ability to get those double legs, take Tony down, and keep him there. So that'd be one thing that you could look at. Also a skill of which Chandler has, but not a skill that Chandler utilizes all that often. But when I'm talking about, if you like both of these guys, then that means you're cheering for Tony. It could be the end. That's just the reality of this business. That weight class is the toughest division. You go look at Tony's schedule. It is the hardest fights. Not to mention this one, coming off of 3 losses and you got to go in there with Michael Chandler. It's a tall order, but it's the way Tony likes to do it. At the same time, nobody's ever done with this business. Nobody walks away. One day you wake up and you find out this business is done with you. It's one of those realities. So who needs this fight? Without question, Tony. Not to mention, it's not like some kind of a favorable matchup. One really cool move that Tony did, and he did it for Charles Oliveira, and I've never heard Charles thank Tony. He may have thanked him. I didn't hear it. Is Oliveira was a really good fighter. He couldn't get on a docket with one of the stars of the division. Tony was a star of the division, got up in the loft, threw the ladder down behind him so Charles could climb up. So Charles gets done with Tony. Tony's got to go figure out what he's going to do. Charles goes into a world title fight. The rest is history. But Charles does not have a world title fight, let alone a world championship, if it's not for Tony Ferguson. So make sure when you're telling the story that you tell it accurately. But at the same time, Michael Chandler doesn't have very many flaws. What are you going to do to beat him? There's ways. Tony's going to have to exploit him. Tony's probably going to need to cut him. Tony's going to need to pressure him like he does everybody else. Tony's going to have to stay off his back. But there's not a lot of favorable scenarios here where anybody gets over on Michael Chandler. Even the guys who get over on Michael Chandler, it wasn't favorable going in. That's a tough night out. So what comes out the backside? Where does Chandler go? I'd be very open to that. How much does a win over Tony Ferguson at this point mean? If Tony's able to beat Chandler, great, he's right back in the talks. He kicks the can down the road a little bit, but we're certainly not into contenders matches and title matches, so what's on the line here? What are they fighting for? Well, there's 2 sides to the coin. The positive side, I don't know. I'm very open for those 2 to tell us what this is about. But on the tail side of the coin, there is something very negative. It is going to be a very tough story to tell if you're in the shoes of Tony Ferg and you come up short. It just is. That path back is tough for everybody. That path back, once you slide a few times in a row, it's really hard. I'm interested in this match. They agreed to this match. These two wanted to fight. The promotion signed off on it. They're using them on the same night of May 7th that they're going to contest the championship within that weight class between Gaethje and Oliveira. So there's good reason to have a couple of hammers around in case something happens with the main event. You can slide them up. What else is on this line for this fight? Why are these two fighting? Why do they care? Why is this important? Why do they find each other? Why did one call out? And I can't even remember the order, but one of them called the other out on social media and the other accepted over social media, right? This fight was made by the fighters for the fighters. So what's on the line? Tell me.